Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Wordy, my hub for all of the words that I read, write, or otherwise want to yap about. Today, I have a very special author guest on the pod. She is the Nashville-based debut author of The Press Tour, which is available now, and she's also a fellow hot girl of Hot Girls Who Write. Please welcome Cassidy Ann.
Yay! Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on, Sydney.
Oh my gosh, of course. And again, I've interviewed a fellow hot girl before, but now every time I have a fellow hot girl on the pod, I'm going to have to put that in their intro. It's like a prerequisite.
It's a nice stamp on our resumes now.
Yes, literally. I know. I genuinely feel like when I was going on sub, I actually put Hot Girls Who Write in my sub letter.
Yeah, I feel like
So,
we had an author recently or an agent recently who was like, let us know that you're in a writing group because, it shows you're really serious about this.
yeah, I just thought it was so cool. I love to flex, you guys, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy you're here. Okay.
Yes.
Like I prepped you before we were going to start the episode, I usually kick off my guest episodes with what each of us are reading, watching, and listening to. So if you would like to do us the honors and go first, please tell
Yeah.
me, what have you been reading, watching, and listening to?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so I have been listening to the audiobook of This Story Could Save Your Life, which I had heard a lot of hype about, and am loving the audio because it's got the podcast element to it and the dual narrators, so it's very engaging. And then I also just started Love Overboard by Candy Steiner, which has been highly anticipated because I love the reality TV aspect and kind of the below deck inspiration, which perfectly segues me into what I'm watching, which is all things Bravo. I'm living for Summer House, Below Deck, The Valley, Southern Hospitality. I'm literally living on Peacock these days, just consuming all of Bravo's TV shows. And then I'm loving all the new little rising pop stars. So Bella Kay, Somber, Chelsea Cutler's not new, but she has some new stuff out that I'm still loving her from. And she also feels very nostalgic from my early years in Nashville. So yeah.
I love that. What a roundup. I went to Candy Steiner's Love Overboard event in
Oh,
Dallas.
so fun.
She is a peach. I
Yeah.
absolutely love her. I cannot wait to read Love Overboard as a reality TV rom-com
Yeah.
stan and author. It's everything to me. I have never seen Below Deck though. I know the vibes, but
Oh
I've
my
never watched a
gosh.
full episode.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm so stoked, but I want to read the book first and then watch the show. So
Yeah.
that's the order I'm gonna have to go in. But also loving a rising pop star girly
I know.
or boy moment.
I know.
I feel like they're popping up more and more, and it makes me so excited as somebody that loves finding underground or
Mhm.
early peaking music
Yeah.
to put on a writing playlist.
I
It's
know. I love my
everything.
Spotify Discover Weekly, or my DJ is very good too of knowing kind of what to serve me on any given day.
Yeah. Okay. What am I reading, watching, and listening to? I can tell you what I'm watching because it's consumed my life. I am watching Scandal for the first time ever. And
What a
I fear
journey.
it is a canon event. I am on
Mhm.
season 2, episode 4. Season 1
Oh my
was
gosh.
wild. I miss Steven so much. Was that just an actor conflict and he
I think
couldn't
so.
make the schedule? I'm so sad.
I
I'm
know.
trying I wish it was the redhead. Abby, I think is her name.
Yeah.
I wish it was her, but something just happened and I feel like maybe we're going to get a little bit of redemption for her. Who knows? Or a plot
Yeah.
line about her that I can actually tolerate.
I
She's so
love that show.
judgmental. I can't stand
And
her.
Kerry
But
Washington, that show is so good. My sister actually just started watching that over the holidays, and I was like, this is, like you said, it's a canon event.
it's so good because I loved Suits
Yeah.
and oh my god, and I loved Designated Survivor. So I
Love.
feel like it's
Yes.
a perfect mix of
That's so
the two.
true.
The funny part, I tell people all the time, this is my first time watching Scandal, and they're like, no way that's true. And I'm like, are you sure? The president, that's Tris Pryor's dad to me.
I know what's funny about that is I watched Scandal way before I ever watched Suits or Designated Survivor. So you blending those together, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. But I didn't even know those existed when I had watched Scandal because I think I watched it in its earlier days. But
Yeah,
that's a good
I
watch.
I love it so much. The chemistry between Tony Goldwyn and Kerry Washington
Yes.
is lethal.
I know. But
I
poor
think about
Millie.
it. Poor Melly, but also she's kind of a witch. A little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know
Yeah.
everything. So that's what I'm watching. Reading wise, I am in the middle of Pas de Deux by Lena Harper.
Mm.
It is a like intro to dark romance. I'm a fluffy romance girly. I'm really trying to branch out. By the end of the year, I want to read one horror novel and one thriller novel, because like
Mm.
even if you see like the black books on my shelf, those are all romantic fantasies.
Yeah.
I need to mature and grow. Like there's nothing immature about romance, but I secretly like would love to write a horror romance book, but like I need to read in the horror
Yeah.
category. So just for my author development, I need to branch out. So I'm reading like a dark mafia intro to dark romance book by Lena Harper. It is so good. I am a ex ballerina and ex dancer, and so it's a ballerina mafia book.
That's
Oh my
fun.
gosh! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes,
Oh my
I
God, how
really
fun.
enjoy it. It's her debut, and it's done really well. I'm also it's an indie book, and
Love.
April is Indie Author Month, so I was
Yeah.
like, I want to read, at least 3 indie books this
Mm-hmm.
month, and I have. So it's been great.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I feel like and I just recently finished. I just finished Love Song by Elle Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
and I love Elle Kennedy. I'm about to do a compliment sandwich. I love Elle Kennedy. There is no reason for a contemporary romance to be 500 pages long.
I agree with
Um,
that.
Summer romance books are my kryptonite. There we go. There's my
I
compliment sandwich.
I stand with that middle feedback so hard. I totally agree. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I definitely agree.
Her books have been getting longer and longer and
Mm-hmm.
longer. And like, girl, creative freedom, go off. You started
Mm-hmm.
indie, you
Yeah.
broke into trad because you're so popular. Good for you.
Yeah.
But you could have told this story in about 370 pages tops. It's okay. I read all 506 pages or
I was
whatever,
gonna
gobbled
say.
it up.
I was gonna say the good thing is there's plenty of people who are happy to read a 400 or 500 plus page romance. So there's an audience
Oh,
for it. It's
yeah,
just not me.
exactly. And then listening to wise, oh my gosh, I want to make sure. I feel like I'm going to mispronounce her name. There's a part of me that like deeply, deeply hopes that she listens to the podcast. I'm not sure. She follows me on TikTok, and we go back and forth. Her name is Emma Tufel.
Okay.
Tufel. I think it's Emma Tufel. Another small, like kind of pop
Mm-hmm.
girly.
Yeah, love.
I found her on TikTok because she was like marketing her newest single or whatever, and it was so catchy. It is like the perfect song about like a douchey like person you're like a douchey guy you're dating, and it's like he says I'm a nice guy, but he's like a
Mm-hmm.
terrible person. And I started digging around in her other music, and she has a song called Heartbreak Season, and that sounds like it's going to be dreary. It is so like it reminds me of Marina Diamandis, like
Oh, fun.
prima donna girl, like
Yeah.
very
Mm-hmm.
bubblegum, like
Oh,
synchronized
love.
just dance routine pop
Okay, I'm gonna have
music.
to add that to my queue because I have to hear it.
It is so catchy. I could literally be in the foulest mood ever, and if that song comes on, if Heartbreak Season comes on, I am partying. Like I'm putting
Love it.
on cocktail attire, face of makeup, and I'm going to have dinner with a friend. Like
I love
I'm healed and revived. So
that. Mm.
her, and then the 2 songs that were used in either the trailer or the teaser for Off Campus. Hush Baby Hurry Slowly by
Oh, I'm so excited.
Sigrid. Holy crap. That song has taken over my
Mm-hmm.
existence. And then I think it's called In Every Lifetime by the Tulips, like the no, like
Mm.
2 TWO lips. Yes, In Every Lifetime.
Mm.
And it's again Elle Kennedy. eats down.
I mean, also the way though music can like make or break a trailer, like the summer I turned pretty. I mean, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan, and every time the summer I turned pretty, like trailers would come out and they would just perfectly place a Taylor Swift song. I was like, just perfect, no notes,
Yeah.
perfection.
Season 2, when they put Back to December Taylor's
Hmm.
version before it was
Yep.
released,
Yes.
I wanted to like jump through the
Yeah.
television
Yeah.
and just be like, what where did you
No,
get that?
right. Or even like the third one where they did Daylight into Red. I was like, I didn't even know that these songs
That
could
one
go together.
that one was mean. That one was
Oh.
so mean. Oh my
And then they
goodness.
like paired them with like Conrad and Jeremiah, like each song. And I was like, yeah, perfection. No, I love it. And yeah, Amazon Prime is about to have all of my watching hours this summer between Off Campus, Every Year After, L,
Yep.
all the things they have coming. Love Hypothesis, I cannot wait for.
I know. Love Hypothesis. I'm so
Oh,
geeked. And then they cast Grace for
oh,
season 2.
I did see that. Yes.
She's a cutie
Oh,
pie.
it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Okay.
Yeah.
That is all I want to speak about as far as like external media. But this episode is about you. This episode is about your book, and I'm so excited to get a little bit deeper into it. So let's begin. For people who may not be familiar with you or your book, tell us a little bit about the press tour.
Yeah. So The Press Tour is my debut romance novel. However, it is not the first story I have written. I've been writing since I was about 12. My fun fact is I self published a children's fantasy novel when I was 13. It's still out there. It kind of haunts me to this day. But yeah, so I've been writing and kind of chasing this dream for a very long time. But The Press Tour is a second chance rockstar romance. It's set in Nashville's music industry where I have lived, and I've also worked in the music industry here. So it definitely was inspired by some of those experiences. And it follows a music publicist who finally gets the shot at her dream promotion, but she has to run a successful press tour for the label's newest artist, who turns out to be the man she was once wildly in love with and who broke her heart years ago. So it's told in this kind of heartbreaking dual timeline that shows how they first met, how they fell in love, how it all fell apart, and then kind of contrasted with their current day getting to know each other again after all these years apart and kind of growing closer as they travel from city to city on this tour together.
I'm obsessed. First of all, I will die on the hill every time for two specific tropes: second chance and
I
accidental
love Second
pregnancy.
Chance.
I don't care. Like, the second one is
I'm
a
with
hot
you.
take.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I didn't
Oh my
even realize
gosh.
that. I didn't know that until like recently. And I was because I've always loved that trope and I don't know why. And I think there have been some specific books in the recent years that have done it so well. And I feel like everyone knows what those books are. But yeah, I mean, it was when I sat down and decided was going to be the year that I wrote a book, I was like, all right, what's my favorite trope? Second chance, great. And then I just picked a place in an industry I was really familiar with. And I grew up in the Hannah Montana era. And so I loved the idea of, can an ordinary girl fall in love with a rock star? And so kind of, yeah, definitely stemmed from that.
I was going to say, kind of touching on your almost like industry professionalism, like your experience. I've heard through the grapevine that you have a music business degree.
Yeah, I do. So it's fun too because the college that the characters in the book go to is kind of loosely based on the school that I went to, which did have a music business program. And so, that's kind of how they meet is through this music business program. And then as they both kind of develop these dreams alongside one of each other. But yeah, so I studied PR, I studied music business. So definitely a lot of what Charlotte's day to day in the book looks like is based on reality. And I think when people think of the music business, they definitely think of this glamorous side, which it is. I mean, it is all the network parties, it's the concerts, it's the number one release parties, but then obviously it's also still a day job and there's still a 9 to 5 aspect of it. And so I think this book kind of tries to balance that of like all the glamour, and especially with her going on the press tour, but the early mornings, the late nights, kind of all the stuff that happens in between. And so I definitely tried to stay as true to some of my experiences as I could without like boring the audience, of course.
Yeah. Okay, and then you mentioned Hannah Montana, which like insane poll, absolutely love. What other songs or artists inspired you to write this book?
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like Kelsey Ballerini's Rolling Out the Welcome Mat is like an insanely vulnerable, just like storytelling album of like exactly what happened in her relationship and divorce. And so, what sets Liam Hayes apart in the book is kind of he's supposed to be this charming male country star who writes way more vulnerably than other males in his industry. And so I think, kind of thinking of like what her album was like and the way it truly painted that picture of their relationship is kind of how I picture his album, which is just like, here it all is. And, I'm not going to call it out any names, but like, you're going to have a very clear picture of like what happened from my perspective. And then like, of course, like country male stars, like Luke Combs and Riley Green and Brett Young were kind of again how I pictured like this charming country star. And then also the song What If I Never Get Over You by Lady A. I feel like that song is like, it's kind of upbeat. It's not a ballad, but it poses this like really scary question, which is like, everyone always tells you, when you go through a breakup, like, oh, time will heal all wounds and like eventually you'll move on. But like, sometimes there's this lingering thought, like, what if this was the person I was meant to be with and I let that go? And like, what if I don't ever get over them? And so I think like, both Charlotte and Liam in this story, like, they kind of are trying to get over one another, but like constantly pulled back to that person and, no one else is comparing. And so I definitely kind of picture like that song being like one of her breakup songs that like when she
Yeah.
really wants to feel and like hurt, she like listens to that one.
Also, I love that you just highlighted that there are songs that we purposely listen to, like they
Oh
are
yeah.
meant to cause damage, they will cause damage,
I love
but
those.
we want to, like we need to,
Yeah.
catharsis wise,
It's the same
appreciate
way I
that.
feel about a lot of romance books. Like I like fluffy romance as well, but like I like to hurt a little. Like
Yes.
and I wanted this book to feel like I'm promising a happily ever after, but I want to like make it I call it like a heart aching book. It's not breaking, but like you're gonna kind of hurt a little bit as you go
Mhm.
along. And I think it just like I think it's packed all of those like emotions kind of in a story or a song.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you also mentioned that this is not your first book that you've written. So tell me a little bit about your personal approach to writing. Is it different for every book? And then how did that unfold for writing the press tour?
Yeah. So I'm definitely a plotter. Like in the plotter and pantsers camp, I'm a hard plotter, which isn't surprising. I'm type A, so it's not that surprising. But I love outlining. Like that has never been my issue. I love just the brain dump of all of the ideas running around in your brain. You throw them on a paper. They don't have to sound good. They don't even have to all connect. Like it's just a lot of ideas. So I love plotting. And yeah, definitely did that with this book. I got the idea to write this book at the end of 2023, plotted for like 2 months. Then I gave myself like 6 months to write the first draft. I actually wrote it in two, which was shocking even to me and has not been replicated to this day. Um, but I was really like I felt like I was really disciplined of like I'm not a morning person, so like every evening I would sit down and write for normally around an hour, which was like 1,000 words to me. And I just like made myself do it on the days I wanted to and the days I didn't, because I feel like I'm kind of like I'm a habit girl too. So it's like if I give myself a day off, I'll take two, and then two will turn into like weeks and months. And so it's like, even if I only wrote a couple words, yeah, I know. And it's like, I'm
Call
trying
me
to fall
out.
back into that habit with my second book too, which again has taken a lot longer to write just because I'm also busy promoting a book and getting a book out the door. But yeah, so I would say I wrote it pretty quickly, but then of course, that was 2024 and now it's 2026. So clearly took a while to get out the door. I mean, I edited for a while. I did query for a little bit as well. So that definitely like kind of slowed things down as I was just like kind of straddling two paths and deciding which path to take. But yeah, definitely just like plotter and just trying to get that first draft out as badly as it needs to be.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of those people that like the perfectionism will keep me from doing a lot of stuff
Yes.
and including writing a first draft because I go
Mm-hmm.
back and I want to
Yeah.
edit everything. Like especially if I'm going to have any alpha or beta readers or God
Mm-hmm.
forbid my agent, like I am not not giving you a first draft, even though alpha readers,
Oh, never.
they read your first draft. Like, it's so tough because I'll go back and I'll micromanage. So good for you. Mad props for writing your first draft in 2 months. That's insane. Can I please bottle that feeling and drink
Honestly,
it?
I wish I could recreate it because, like you said, like I feel like what made that happen with the first book is, like I said, my only goal was like just finish something. I had started so many stories over the years and just gotten to that middle point and been like, I don't know what's happening, so I'm just going to abandon it. And that one, I was like, I'm going to finish it. I'm just going to get through it. And I had no plans to do anything with it. Of course, afterwards, I was like, okay, I feel connected to the story now. I would love for people to read it. But like the difference, I think, with the second book is I am picturing people reading it. And obviously, they're not going to read my first draft, but I'm having troubles in my first draft picturing people reading it and also comparing it to this book that I spent 2.5 years working on.
Yeah.
So I definitely think, again, haven't replicated that, but I agree. Like, would love to bottle that up.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's always that like weird cosmic shift, whether you're an indie author or a trad author, from publishing the first one and being like, wait a minute. People actually are going to read my stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second book, you're like, wait, if they read the first one, that means they've got expectations for this one. First book, out of the gate, no expectations, new author. I'm just here for vibes.
Yeah.
Second one, is she going to deliver on what we got in the first book? And my goodness.
I know. And I feel like the only like trad author that I've heard of actually like say that has been Carly Fortune. She had like this big debut, and it's not that her second flopped, but she said, how hard that second one was after like she wrote this one that, kind of immediately got her big. And so I can't even imagine that pressure, but I was like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it,
Yeah, exactly. Genuinely, I'm learning as I get older. I say that like I'm some wise, sage old person. I'm not. But like the older I get, especially with more years under my belt as an author, the people who make it are simply the people who don't quit.
Yeah.
And so like if I would have stopped at my sophomore slump, which like I love sophomore books, sophomore albums, incredible.
Yeah.
Sophomore books, typically really good, especially in like a series. You just have to keep going. And like, even if that means like never looking at your Goodreads reviews at all, like not even to have like someone you trust go and find your 5-star ones, or like just anything, like tuning out the noise, leaving social media for a while, like do it. Just get it done however you need to do it. So
absolutely.
Mad props. I'm circling back because you've been doing a wonderful job of like unintentionally segueing into some of my questions I have for you. You had mentioned that you had done querying for a little bit, but obviously this is an indie published book. If you are willing, I won't make you if it's like a tough thing to talk about or whatever, because the publishing industry is painful. I'm living proof, but I know intimately. But what was the journey like figuring out like what path to publishing was right for you? Like, do you still think about like ever querying something again, like a separate project, or how do you approach that as far as like what's coming up for you, but also with the release of the press tour?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely always been a dream of mine to go trad. And I will say too, before I even wrote this book, I don't even think I knew that there were really two sides to publishing or like what going trad even meant. So obviously I've learned a lot from this experience. And so, I think in my head, like that was really the option. I didn't realize truly how difficult it was and how like 1 in a million it kind of is. And so, I learned a lot about traditional publishing, learned what a query letter even was and kind of how to pursue that. So I started querying in the summer of 2024, which I think I recently learned that was my first mistake because summer, a lot of agents are off. So it already maybe wasn't the best timing, but I just got like radio silence and like not like just a lot of form responses. And so that was tricky because it didn't even really give me any direction as to like what was wrong.
No.
Yeah. So I was like something's not working.
It's like taking a quiz and then you get like multiple attempts, but every time you
Mm-hmm.
take the quiz and you get your score, it doesn't tell you what questions you got wrong.
That's
So you
such
just
a
have
good
to guess the
analogy.
next time around.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that analogy is my life currently. I'm trying to get my teacher's certification, and I had to take this god awful exam to get certified for the actual exam.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
it wouldn't tell me. And it was just, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
querying felt like.
I
It
know. And
literally
how I
like
explained
triggered
it
PTSD.
totally. And how I explained it to my parents was like, your book can be amazing. But basically, if your cover letter, like your query letter, is not good, it doesn't matter how good your book is because they're not going to get that far. And so then fall of 2024, I decided to work with an editor, and she also helped me rewrite my my query letter. So we did a lot of work for probably like another 6 to 8 months maybe, and truly like I credit her with so much of like where the book is today, because I could not have done that on my own, and I just like learned a lot about like what really goes into a book through working with her. So then summer of 2025, again, didn't realize summer's maybe not the best time to query, but did it again. Summer of 2025, I queried again. And again, like got kind of the same responses even after all the work we'd done. And then I got laid off from my full-time job, and I just decided like I wanted to be back in control. I didn't want to like leave my future up to someone else. I was tired of getting rejections or even like lack thereof rejections. And I just, I was like, if I'm going to be out applying for jobs, I don't also want to have to be, trying to basically apply for my book. And so that was kind of the turning point where I was like, at that point, I had been a part of Hot Girls Who Write for a little while. I'd been a part of another writing group. I'd seen plenty of authors be very successful in the indie path, and it felt like a very safe like path for me to take, whereas at first I didn't know enough to know that. And so yeah, pretty much from like last summer and now kind of going into this summer, I just pivoted and said, okay, I learned so much about how to go the trad route. Now, how the heck do I go the indie route, and what goes into that? And so, but I don't regret that decision at all. And I think I will likely try to go the trad route at some point. I don't know if I'll do it with my next book. I honestly don't know yet. It's kind of been something I've been grappling with, which I, again, don't need to grapple with as I'm in the first draft and it's not there yet. But I don't think it's off the table at all.
Yeah, I feel like now more than ever, we're seeing so many hybrids. We're seeing so many self-published authors turn trad, or trad authors revert back to indie, or just revert to indie. I feel like nothing is off the table for anybody.
Yeah.
I myself, like, I published 2 romanticises and I queried a rom-com, and I was like, well, because my indie brand at the time, I was like, I don't think they'd be so accepting of me doing a rom-com. Like, why am I genre flipping this fast? But I was like, I'm writing another rom-com. I'm going to indie publish it. And then right as I'm like starting to market it, I got my offer, and I was like, okay, I feel like this is a sign that maybe this is the genre that I should be in. And if that's the case, I want to see if I can debut rom-com wise in trad. And let me tell you, the rejections don't get easier. But I will say, I never thought I would be in a place to where I like rejections more than silence, because at least I know somebody had their eyes on my stuff. And I started to feel that way about querying too. The silence is just awful, because you're like, you have no idea where you stand, and Query Tracker is from the devil.
Not the whole process is.
Truly, it's a humiliation ritual, but like, I have such mad respect for anybody that tries trad at any stage, whether they get a deal, whether they don't, whether they return to it. The book that landed me an agent was my 3rd book in the trenches. Like, it is not a cakewalk. It is not for the faint of heart. So like, I was like, she queried, oh my God, she's one of us.
I know. I've definitely been through it. And I also think like I'm not a patient person, and I had no idea like how much patience you had to exercise in that. And then I also realized like, even if I get this agent, like that's only the first gate. There's still another like iron gate that I have to pass. And, again, at that point I'd been waiting a while, and I was like, I'm done waiting. I'm tired. Like, I don't want to sit on this forever. And so, but yeah, it is patience. I mean, I'm still getting responses. Like I haven't set a query letter in almost a year, and I literally just got a response the other day. And she was like, you
Wow.
were in the maybe pile. That's why it took me so long. I'm like, thanks. But then, of course, it was a rejection. I was like, well, I'm
Glad I
glad I
didn't
didn't wait
wait.
for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It's so tough, but I want to focus now on like the positives of being an indie because like as somebody that's also been indie,
Yeah.
what you were saying about control is
Yeah.
genuinely like it is so on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
I have moments even in like me pursuing trad right now, I have moments where I am so bloody restless. If my agent is listening to this, I love you and you work so hard. But there are like again, like the impatience is it's just, you know,
Yeah.
the human condition. I get so
Mm-hmm.
restless sometimes. I'm like, man, I could come up with this book and like indie publish it, no doubt. My thing for me with indie versus trad, there will be book ideas that I come up with equally as beloved, but genuinely, I come up with book ideas and I'm like, I don't think the trad market would like this. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
better fit for indie. Versus, like, I'll come up with something super hooky, high concept, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like trad would have a field day with this.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts of the indie journey is getting your cover back. And I just have to say, the cover for the press tour is one of the prettiest indie book covers.
Oh my
Low key,
gosh,
just
thank
covers
you.
in general, I've seen in a very long time. Tell
Mm-hmm.
me a little bit about like what that process was like. Like, how did you knew that it wanted to look like that? Like, what was the like sketch process? Like,
Yeah.
how did that go?
Yeah, it was definitely like the part of the process I was the most excited for because it made it feel real and not just this like Google Doc
Yeah.
on my computer. It made it feel like a physical object almost. And so I am not an artsy person, so I don't think I had a clear image in my head, but I knew like what covers I liked. So I pulled a lot of the like my favorite covers and just tried to see like where the common themes were. So I feel like two of the covers that I kind of feel like inspired this one were Ready or Not by Cara Bastone, speaking of pregnancy trope, and
Yes.
Passion Project by London Sperry.
Yeah,
And
I
both of
literally,
those,
it's
yes,
right here. Where's my
yes.
finger?
And I think I can see it. And so I was like, okay, what do these all have in common? Like they're very, very colorful, but they're also like
Vibrant,
heavily rooted
yes.
in the scenery. And so I knew like I really wanted Nashville to shine on the cover in a way that like if you're familiar with the city, like maybe you'd be like, oh, I recognize that. But then also in a way that like if you're not familiar with the city, it wouldn't like deter. And so I think my cover designer, Sam from Ink and Laurel, just did an amazing job with that. And so yeah, I pulled a lot of the covers that like I loved. I just kind of guided her on like elements I liked, but I also wanted like her to have the creative freedom to show me something that I might not even be able to dream up. And so
Mm-hmm.
like one of the things like all these covers had was they were more daytime. And so I think in my head, that's kind of what I was picturing. And then when she first came back, she came with like more of a nighttime scape and colors. And I was like, wait, like that makes so much sense for the city, for the story. Like it makes sense that it's more rooted in like the nightlife. And then I feel like the colors can almost like pop more because it's like they're illuminated by the night. And so like
Yeah.
that was something I don't think I ever would have thought of. And then like the characters, like I knew I wanted characters on the cover, but I didn't want them to be like the main part of the cover. So
I
like kind of
like the distance between.
yeah, so we put them like on the side, but then like the spotlight is kind of a big theme in the story. And so kind of last minute we decided like what if we spotlighted them? That way like they're kind of popping on the cover without it being like you know the main attraction.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also feels so good as an author to like recognize things on the cover that are kind of in the book too. You're like, oh, this like makes sense thematically. But yeah, so it was like definitely like the most fun process. And I just it was so nice like to be able to give feedback, and it was really just the two of us working on it, you know, like I was able to relay like feedback, and I tried to be really like succinct on, you know, every time we went back and forth like trying to kind of consolidate my ideas. But then there would just be like things she would add in that I just wouldn't have even dreamt of or thought of. Like there's a little poll on the cover that has the like slogan "Falling in Love is a PR crisis," and I was
Yes.
like, I love that. Like I was like, I wouldn't have thought to put something like that on there. And then the back she made look kind of like a magazine cover again to fit in with like the whole PR and music industry. And so I feel like it was the perfect amount of like in you know kind of direction, but also giving her that creative freedom. And it just like was a really fun collaboration.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned the nightlife because that I also am a crazy purple person. I love the color
Yeah.
purple. And so like the blue, the dark indigos and the
Yeah.
purples, like I when you did your cover reveal, I had absolutely no words. I just had like
It
inaudible
yeah.
sounds and an open mouth.
It was like really amazing getting to get the feedback because I'd kind of kept it close to myself, like even from like
You
my family
did.
members, because I just was like, I don't like at a certain point, like the nice thing about indie publishing is like you have so much control, but you also have to make a lot of decisions. And there is a point of like decision fatigue. And I sometimes felt like there were parts where I was asking people for opinions and then it was like too many voices. And so with the cover, I just like really wanted to trust my instincts and like trust my cover designer. So I didn't want to necessarily be sending it to like everyone I knew for feedback because I didn't want that to like cloud my own like judgment and my own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it went out there, obviously I was nervous because I hadn't sent it to a lot of people. And so yeah, like getting to see the feedback and even like still to this day as people find me on like TikTok and you know, hearing people love the cover, it just like makes you feel so happy because it is such a big marketing tool. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, of course, as the person who's kind of solely responsible for this book, because I'm not signed to a publisher, like I do feel like a lot of the decisions I make fall back on me. And so it feels good when other people are like, you made the right decision.
Yeah. Oh, and you definitely
Yeah.
killed it this time
Thank
around.
you.
It was so good. Speaking of the back of the book, I want to talk about the
Yeah.
blurb. At the end of the blurb, Charlotte has to ask herself which of her dreams is worth the fall. First of all, killer line, loved it. But I'm curious, what are some of your own personal dreams, whether that is writing related or not,
Yeah.
that to you is worth the fall?
Yeah. It's so funny because I feel like I've always chased these like really ambitious, kind of like one in a million dreams. Like, again, like when I was younger, like I said, I wanted to be Hannah Montana. Like, I loved music. I loved to perform. I like to sing and like write songs. And so I felt like there was a time in my life where I was chasing this like dream that just like you need a lot of luck to get into. And then I shifted into like the music industry. And I've also been someone who's always like, I've been fortunate enough to have family members who truly told me, like, I can do anything. So when I decide I'm going to be Hannah Montana, like, I'm going to full send it. I might not get there clearly, but I'm going to full send it. And so then, like, you know, I decided, okay, I didn't want to be an artist, but I wanted to work in the music business, which, again, arguably another very competitive industry. And I, you know, got to work at my dream record label. And so that was like a really cool experience and definitely kind of the record label that this book is based on. But, and then of course now like wanting to write again, like another dream that like not everyone makes it and it's a lot of hustle. And so I definitely feel like I have, you know, quote unquote, like fallen for all of my dreams and like fully send it. And I just like, I think one of the things I would love for people to take from this book is that like it's okay to put your dreams first and like choose you. And you know, sometimes there are consequences to those dreams. Like a lot of these dreams like involve a lot of money and involve a lot of investment up front, but it doesn't mean that they're the wrong decision. And like some of these dreams too, you get a lot of backlash from or just opinions. And again, like that doesn't mean it's wrong. And I think especially as women, we're often like told like to be less selfish or like to be more humble and less ambitious. And I just like, I think all women should have the permission to be selfish when it comes to their dreams and like
Mm-hmm.
just fearlessly pursue those. And so I don't know that there's been a dream I haven't, you know, risked it all for.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's so awesome. So if you could be a publicist for any musical figure, past or present, I'll even give you that. Who would it be and why? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
So upon like first thinking about this, I probably would have said Taylor Swift, but then I was like, I
That's
love
a
her,
lot
but
of
she's
work.
got that's a lot of work. Exactly. So I'm going to pick another one of my favorite pop queens who is Tate McRae. I love her. I think she keeps really good company. She just looks fun. But I also think like she's young enough that like as a publicist, like, she would keep you on your toes. But I also think she's really, really smart. So it's not like you would always be putting out her fires.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
feel
That's
good
a
about
really
that.
good one. I love that you mentioned like Taylor Swift is awesome. Oh my gosh, the workload.
A lot of work.
Like,
Oh, I know.
wow.
Originally, I was like, wait, no, maybe that one would be too hard.
Yeah, I know. Props to you though, because like thinking about being a publicist and like making calls and putting out fires. I'm
Yeah.
watching Scandal and I literally like have anxiety. And like you have like my body doesn't understand the difference between making a phone call and being held at gunpoint, truly. So I love this for you, not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but then again, like, oh, it would be so cool to work for like a past icon like
Yeah.
Prince.
Wow, that's a
That would
good
be
one.
crazy, but like
Yeah.
if I had to, I think that'd be really fun. He
Yeah.
feels like he makes like really weird demands, but like he's Prince. What are you gonna do?
Or like a fictional one that now I just thought of because my husband and I are, well, I've watched it multiple times, but I'm now making my husband watch Daisy Jones and the Six.
Oh
That
my
would be a cool band. Again, probably a lot of work. They're a little messy. Um, but what a
god.
time. But and like you said, like almost like the time period aspect would also just be fun and different. And some of the things,
Imagine, oh,
yeah.
Daisy Jones has me thinking, imagine being the publicist for Fleetwood Mac
Oh
after the
my God.
1997 live Silver Springs
Yep.
like
I know I
performance.
had to explain to my husband like the lore of that and also how it relates to Daisy Jones, and I don't think he's like fully appreciating it because I'm like, this is my favorite book of all time, and like I love the TV show
It's
too,
so
but
good.
yeah,
I
no.
It burns me to this day that they were originally going to tour. Daisy Jones and the Six, they were going to tour.
This
And
has
then
been a
something
common
happened.
topic in my house recently is I'm not mad that there's not going to be another season. I don't actually want there to be another season at all,
No,
but I
please
am
no.
devastated that I'll never get to see them on tour.
Yeah, really torn up about that because they've been in my Spotify rap top 5
Mm-hmm.
artists since it released. Truly, every
Yes.
single year. It's been what, 3 years?
Yeah.
I wasn't
Also
even
the
living in my
way that,
house yet. Yeah.
yeah, and the way that when I first read the book, like she wrote it so well that I actually thought they were a real band.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, you know, before my time, I was like, yeah, maybe they were a real band. And then obviously now understand the whole lore between them and Fleetwood. But
I know. I
yeah,
read that book. That was my first book of hers. And I was absolutely throttled. It
yeah,
was incredible. And then I went into, I was like, she writes amazing books. I need to try another one. And then I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And when I tell you that I
hmm.
almost had to be psychiatrically admitted,
That's
oh,
fair.
oh my dear Lord. If that gets made into a movie, which I think it
It's
is,
supposed to be, yeah.
nobody's going to want to be around me. Like I don't care if you love the book, you're probably not going to want to go see the movie with me because the reaction is going to be
Yeah,
absolutely visceral. I just need to
yeah,
rent a
that's
theater
fair.
by myself and just bawl.
That's a
Um
good call.
yeah. Okay, my last question for you. Kind of going back to what we were talking about in the beginning about being a fellow hot girl. Especially with this being your debut, technically minus your what children's fantasy book that you were telling me
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
For all intents and purposes,
We can
this
call
is
my
your
debut.
debut.
Yes.
What has it been like to have this debut author experience this journey with a like-minded, like wonderful writing community at your back?
Yeah. I feel like it was this like piece that I didn't know I was missing, and I'm like so grateful that I found it. You know, I don't feel like I was looking for it when I found it. I just had been following Alyssa de Vergades, and I of course was just like admiring her experience, you know, self-publishing, kind of going viral and then getting picked up by Trad. And so when she opened the doors, I was like, cool, like access to someone that, you know, has this experience that I would love to share. And it's been so much more than that, you know, even more than just the authors that she also brings in for interviews. It's like just getting to meet like you guys and the other women in that group has been just like so wonderful because like writing is such an isolating experience and hobby. And so to be around people who get it, and even if we just all sit in silence, like with our cameras off writing, you know, you feel like you're a part of something. And so I feel like that's been so nice. And then, you know, like I even said with like deciding to go the indie route, it was like, I don't know that I could have done that had I not seen like so many people be so successful with that and
Mm-hmm.
who have truly treated it like, again, my first one when I was 13 was technically indie. So I guess I knew that path was there, but that was like something I barely put anything into. So to watch people treat this like a true, not just like a dream or a hobby, but like a career, I think has been
Yeah.
so like inspiring and motivating and just also educational, and to like have all these people to bounce ideas off of. And yeah, I mean, I honestly like don't know what I would do without it. So I'm so grateful that I found it because I didn't even know I needed it, and it was never anything on my radar. And so I'm glad it just kind of happened.
Yeah, I love that. And they're awesome. I mean, without them, I wouldn't have met you. So,
I know. And it's so funny because, like, we've all never, well, most of us have never met in person, but I feel like I know you guys, like, so intimately,
I
which is
know.
so fun. And I can't wait for the day she does, like, a little Hot Girls Who Write retreat or something because I would love to get to meet everyone in person. But yeah, I mean, it's been, like, really, truly amazing getting to see what everyone's done, but also just, like, the differences. Like, there are people in that group who publish multiple books a year, which I don't think I could ever. But I'm so inspired by that. But then seeing, some
Yeah.
people who are only publishing their first or publish every couple years, like it's just nice to see like the range too, and just
Hmm.
know that like there is no right path. It's, there's just so many options, and then you just kind of full speed ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's genuinely incredible. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you're a part of it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the best. I will always solicit hot girls who write for any of my listeners. So if you're a fellow hot
Same.
girl or hot boy, we have a hot boy in our group.
We do have a hot
Um,
boy.
he's
I know, I
wonderful.
always feel bad. He doesn't get excluded. I mean, he's definitely, but like Alyssa said, it's like the hot girl energy. We're all hot girls, including the hot
Exactly.
boy.
But yeah, for any of our listeners, if you are a writer and you've been needing community, and if you're like me and you're in hermit mode and you don't have too many authors in your like actual proximity location, come join Hot Girls Who Write. We're here for
Mm-hmm.
you. Doesn't matter if you're writing your first ever book, your first ever draft, or if you're publishing
Yeah.
your 19th book, anywhere in between, trad or
Yeah.
indie. You're welcome here. So,
Yeah.
had to throw that out there. To close out the episode, please share with our listeners where they can find you if you have any upcoming events, website, social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram and Instagram and TikTok at Cassidy Ann Author. I will also be at Nashville's Tempted by Fiction Romance Book Festival on Saturday, May 23rd. It is sold out, but if people are going, I would love to meet them. And then I also am doing a signing in Wilmington, North Carolina on June 13th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Market House Beer and Wine with Bad Bees Books. And then I'm hoping to have more dates coming soon as well. So you will be able to follow along and find all of those on my Instagram and TikTok.
Lovely. That was perfect. Okay, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. And my special thanks again to Cassidy for coming on the show.
Thank you for
Yay!
having me.
Of course. You guys don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at TalkWordyPod, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, y'all.